To talk.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 25th episode of the Brothers of Broad Street podcast. I'm here with Bryce Ellig. My name's Jim Croger. Very quick episode tonight, just to start off your week on this Monday evening. But Bryce, we'll start off with you. How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. Just enjoyed. It was nice weather. Enjoyed. Did some golf. I also posted out some picks for the fans. 1-1 Saturday and 3-1 yesterday. So positive record 4-2 on the weekend. Just for the fans. Bryce's best bets. I think my record right now is, I want to say 48-31. I'm almost certain it's 48-31 right now. So we're creeping, Jim. The goal is to get eventually to 20 wins over 500. We're almost there.
No, I mean, the record speaks for itself. Obviously, we've talked about this on past episodes. When I was out this weekend, one of my buddies came up to me and he's like, yo, like that podcast that you do, like who are you doing it with? I'm like, oh, it's my buddy Bryce. And he's like, yo, is his record legit? Like, I'm like, go back and check all the picks. We got it all on file. It's on the Instagram account and now on the Twitter account. And you can scroll through and check and tally them up. The wins and losses are legit. And that's the crazy thing. Like people think that we're, mixing up the numbers and, doing some shady stuff, but we're a people's podcast. You're for the people. The account Bryce's Best Bets. If you haven't followed it yet on Twitter, look up Bryce Ellig. He follows the account. I followed the account. So you might be able to find it a little bit easier that way, but the record's legit. And like we said,
there's only been one bet I accidentally didn't post on the Instagram because I was at the Eagles game. So it failed to post, but I posted it it went through on my Twitter. So there is proof still. There's just only one bet that's not placed on the Instagram, but everything else is there.
Yeah.
They're all.
Listen,
And if not, I think there's like 2 or 3 I just said in the podcast, so you could go back and say the record's legit.
Oh yeah, it's on YouTube too. If you want to go back through videos, I mean, since March we've been having these Bryce's Best Bets on file, and listen, you guys can keep doubting us now, but Bryce is doing extremely well. And if I were you, I recommend getting on this train because admission will not be free for a while. All right. It will not be free. Bryce is doing a very good job.
He's a man of the people.
I got to ask you this question because my buddy asked me, he's like, listen, I'm not too well like in the sports field, but he wanted to get an idea of what sport is your best. Like in your opinion, what's your personal favorite? Do you like betting on baseball? Would you rather do football? Because I feel like football is probably the hardest sport because any given Sunday, it can go either way. I mean, the Redskins made a game out of the Chiefs game yesterday. Like that was crazy. And anything can happen.
Oh, anything can happen.
I mean, my bad. The football team can make a game out of the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs aren't looking like the Chiefs in years past. So anybody could beat the Chiefs. And
1,000%. Due to my betting experience, I'm definitely well over 500 in baseball. It's always been, unfortunately, it's probably the most boring sport when it comes to betting. That's definitely the sport I've been all around best at. People have always said that I'm a big baseball guy. My betting strategy when it comes to baseball is, it all matters with the pitcher. You can't overrate, batters all the time. I mean, the best hitter in the world is going to go. Mike Trout's the best player in the world. He goes 0 for 4 some nights. It's just the way baseball works. It's a hard game. It's hard to hit the baseball. So when you got the best pitcher on the mound, I hate betting. My favorite's probably football because at the end of the day, it is the most entertaining sport to watch by a mile.
By far.
And I think the most frustrating one is basketball because it's the number one sport with a lot of backdoor covers, a lot of games where
with the late game fouls and the free throws and everything.
The team's given 8, and then that I've had that happen a lot to the Bryce's Best Bets. Some guy drain a 3-pointer from just no shot, no time left on the clock. They're down by 10 points, shoots 3-pointer, nails it. Yeah. -8 isn't good anymore. It's probably the most frustrating. But my best definitely is baseball. But so far in the NFL, I'm going to look back and count it. So far in the NFL, I'm definitely well over in the positive in the NFL. I've done very, very well so far for NFL.
No, yeah. To start this season, you've been on a solid streak. I know when we first started this podcast, you were doing a lot of baseball bets. I mean, you would do about 3 or 4 per episode, and they were doing pretty well. I remember us, keeping tally. And like you said, it's good to go with the pitcher. I know in postseason baseball right now, I mean, in my opinion, postseason baseball is the best sport. Like NFL, obviously, I'd rather watch than a regular season NFL game. I'd rather watch than a regular season baseball game. Way more entertaining. But that October baseball, there is nothing like it. There is nothing like it.
I think playoff hockey is
And that was number 2 on my list, dude.
I think that's the best. There's nothing beats playoff hockey.
You remember when we were younger and the Flyers were in those series with the Penguins for a couple straight years? How awesome that was. The Boston Bruins series. You know, that was the prime of playoff hockey for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Hockey too, to me, is like it's known for being like the hardest. The Stanley Cup is like the hardest trophy to win because even when a team is like super good, they're still not really sweep. There's not like a lot of there is. Don't get me wrong, there is, but there's not a lot of sweeps in hockey. Like,
yeah,
you know, even the 7th seed is still winning 2 games. Like it's crazy the way hockey works. And I know I'm pretty sure it takes 2 months or something like crazy for like the playoffs to end. I'm pretty sure it's something like that.
Yeah, I've never heard of that, but I expect you to.
I used to play the video game, and I would like play a franchise, and they would win the cup. It'd be like it's the most prestigious trophy because it takes 2 months to win. And I'm like, it takes 2 months to win. And I think about it, and I'm like, yeah, man, like they're long series. They're all best out of 7. They're all going for. I mean,
and that's where I give a lot of those players credit, the NHL and the NBA specifically, for them to play their playoffs in the bubble. I mean, that was it. It was just that sport. And, now we're starting to get back to, relatively normal where they could do things outside of the sport. But could you imagine 2 straight months of getting up, playing hockey, eating, playing hockey again, going to bed, and doing the same thing over and over again?
Not even having to wear a mask everywhere you go besides in your room and staying in a hotel room like all day.
No, I mean, that alone was hard just to get through, for the players, and, credit to them for doing that. But playoff baseball and playoff hockey is number 2 on my list. I mean, that playoff hockey's being in that atmosphere. I haven't been in a while because the Flyers, they made the playoffs during the bubble, the COVID year. But I haven't been back in that arena.
No, we haven't had it in a little bit now.
We got to get back there.
The Flyers. I think the Flyers are going to be the only team in Philly to
make some noise.
Yeah, to be look forward to watching.
I was upset they got rid of Voracek before the year, but it was something that they had to do. He was getting older.
I love Atkinson. I love the guy we got.
Yeah,
he just loves to put pucks on net. That's how you win the games.
How about Giroux's goal in the first game? Did you see that?
Yeah.
He still got it. He's the man.
Contract's up after this year, so.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are talking about, getting rid of him. What do you think they're going to do with him? Keep him, and you have to.
He's got to stay until he's done. I mean, he's a Flyer for life. That's not a guy that. I mean, I don't see him going to chase a ring, and he wants to win one in Philly. He doesn't want to win one for some random team somewhere else. Yeah,
it's one of those things where he has to finish his career off in Philadelphia. Everything he's done for the Flyers.
He's got a good amount of hockey left in him. Hockey's like these guys play till like they're 38.
Oh my gosh! Do you remember Jaromir Jagr? How long he played for?
He didn't even retire. Like technically, they just were like, "We can't. You're 46 years old, dude."
Hang him up. He was actually on the Florida Panthers, and
he
was. Go ahead.
Zdeno Chara's still playing. He's like 48.
What's he on, the New Jersey Devils now?
He's on like the. I don't know if he's on. He was on the Islanders. I don't know. I mean,
we have to check what team he's on. But I remember when Jaromir Jagr was bouncing around for a while from teams to teams. Like he was with the Flyers one year, then another team, then another team. But I remember when the Florida Panthers signed him, and they come out with the stats and everything like that. Jagr was older than the Florida Panthers were as a team. Like he was in the league before the Florida Panthers even became a team in the NHL. like that's crazy. But man, what a stud he was for the Flyers for that 1 year. I love that line.
That was sick.
Him, Giroux, and Hartnell. That was the perfect combination.
That was when hockey was at like its peak in Philly. Oh. Those years, hockey was like peak years.
I mean, we talked about that in the last episode with all those individual plays and like sports moments in Philly history. But those guys, I mean, between the fights, the goals that they scored, the plays that they had, was 3 of them. And then, I mean, on that second line.
Scott Hartnell was my guy. I was a big Scott Hartnell guy.
I was so upset when they traded him. I mean, it was time, but still, he was awesome.
He was awesome.
Oh man, he was always looking for fights. He was
Yeah.
always like,
He was electric.
if someone got too close to the goalie, like when the goalie froze the puck, you always saw Hartnell like flying in
I'll never
and
forget.
protect the goalie. It was awesome.
He scored and then like got in a fight right after, and I was like, that is Philly. Like that is like he scored, didn't celebrate, and just fought the dude.
Oh man, good times, good times.
Good times.
But yeah, to go back, we'll playoff baseball right now. The Red Sox are playing the Astros. They're currently winning 7-0. It was the bottom of the third the last time I checked. The Red Sox just look like an absolute powerhouse right now. The way they're playing baseball is insane. And it just goes to show how good that organization is as a whole. I mean, we were talking about this on the one episode. They dumped off Mookie Betts. Who else did they get rid of? They unloaded a lot of contracts to free up some space.
Yeah, I mean I know they got rid of just a ton of players. I mean, little guys too, like David Price, Rick Porcello, who was a Cy Young at one point, got rid of those big names, didn't keep them around.
Craig Kimbrell they got rid of.
Craig Kimbrell got rid of. They got rid of some big names. I mean, they're very similar to me to the Giants this year. I don't think a lot of people. I mean, if you would have told me, how do you think the Red Sox are going to be this year? I would have said miss the playoffs. And now
especially in that division, the AL East is loaded.
Yeah, there's 4 great teams in that division.
All 4 teams have the ability to win a World Series, in my opinion.
I think the big thing is with the Red Sox is, and we were talking about this earlier before we started, but the big thing with them is that they're like a whole different type of team. That organization, everything. When they make it to the playoffs, they just turn up and like another notch. And it's always been like that. The year when Victorino was hitting the grand slams, and all those years in the the 2013 I remember was huge, and recently they won the World Series. Steven Pierce, the most random player of all time, winning the World Series MVP.
They always get these heroes in the playoffs where guys step up out of nowhere.
Kiki Hernandez was he's been an okay MLB player, so like just going out of nowhere.
He was a utility player for the Dodgers. They got rid of him this year, and now him with the Red Sox, he's the best player right now in the postseason.
My boy is a huge Red Sox guy, and I was like, man, Kiki's been killing it. He's like, no, he's the best player on the team right now, and like it's Kiki Hernandez.
By far, I remember when Chase Utley played for the Dodgers, and he wasn't, the Chase Utley that we had in Philadelphia.
The
goat, my bad. But anyway, the goat was, playing second base, but underneath him on the bench was Kike Hernandez. And, they would ask the goat about him, and he said, listen, like this guy's got potential to be a really good baseball player.
Yeah, I remember they had like a little romance or something going on.
And now you're really starting to see this guy take off, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Chase knows. Like when Chase Utley says something, it's going to happen. But right now, to me, coming in, I would have said coming into the playoffs, my World Series favorite was the Astros. I don't know why. I just have a hinge.
The experience levels there when it comes.
I mean, they've been doing it with the cheating and all that. I get it, but they've been there last 5 years. They still got a team, but the Red Sox right now, to me, obviously, they're going to be up 2-1 in the series, which is huge. But to me, they just look like the best team all around. The Braves look pretty good, and to me, the Dodgers look a little off.
It's funny bring that up because I actually just want to switch over there and talk about that series with you. Last year, the NLCS, or not the NLCS, the series between the Dodgers and the Braves went up 2-0. And then Dodgers came back, won a game, and then the Braves went up 3-1, and they still lost the series to the Dodgers. So I'm not counting out the Dodgers.
No, I'm definitely. Yeah. You can't count out a team with every all-star in the whole entire league. Of course not. But
yeah,
they're definitely. They just, to me, even with last year when they went down 3-1, we still all knew they were like a really great team. They just seem something. I don't know what it is. Something seems a little off. I don't know if that's maybe me looking maybe a little too much into it, but to me, something's just a little bit off. It's a minor fix to me. I can't really put my finger on it, but something's off.
It's a lot easier to talk about, like, when a manager makes a decision and be like, oh, he should have made this move, or, oh, he should have made that move. But I didn't agree with taking Scherzer out of the game last night. I know he let up that home run, that big time home run to Jock Peterson. It was a moonshot, absolute moonshot. And, in that moment, being in that atmosphere, obviously Dave Roberts was able to tell if Scherzer still had it or not, the momentum shift there, and you're able to get a better feel. But, someone tweeted and they were completely right. Don't trade, your prospects for your ace, for your guy, Max Scherzer, and then not leave him in arguably your biggest game. Up until that point, that's the biggest game of your year. You know what I mean? You're trying to win that game.
What's crazy too is that I've watched a lot of games because being a Phillies fan, we went up against Max Scherzer a lot over the last couple of years. Thank God that's over. But I've watched a lot of games. Just he was so dominant for a stretch of all those years with the Nationals, and I watched like games where he would give up a home run and he kind of like would wait, like the coach would come out to be like, hey, like, and he would wave him off. Like that's when he turns it up. Like he doesn't really get down on himself. That's when he like turns on that gear. And I watched a video about him. He's like a lunatic. He's like the craziest guy in the MLB, they say. Yeah, I've heard some stories. He doesn't like to be like high-fived or like any of that. He's a freak show, which respects. But like that's why I think, especially with him being probably the best, one of, if not the best pitcher in the MLB, in my opinion.
Top 5.
Yeah,
Top 3, maybe.
Yeah, I mean he's a stud. You got to leave him in.
Yeah, and it's one pitch, and it just didn't happen to go their way. But who else on that team is better than Scherzer? You know what I mean? Like at their point of their careers.
Exactly. I agree.
But it's interesting to see how that series is going to play out. Me being a Phillies fan, I don't really want to see the Braves win this series.
Oh yeah, that's me too. I don't want to see the Braves win. I want to see them lose.
I know there's a lot of fans that say like, "Oh, I want to see the team from our division go on to win." But if you're a Red Sox fan, you don't want to see the Yankees go win. You know what I mean? And they're in your division. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to see the Braves. I know the rivalry is not the same, but I don't want to see the Braves win.
It's like when if the Giants, but besides the fact they played the Patriots, I rooted for the Giants during those times. But like, if the Giants played, I don't know, if the Giants played the Bills in the Super Bowl, I'd want the Bills to win. I hate the Giants.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. I'm not trying to front run. I love the players and the Dodgers.
I mean, to me, the Braves to us are like it's like playing the Washington football team. I don't want to see them win. I don't want to see them win a ring. They're not I don't think they're on the rivalry of like, the Cowboys. I think the Mets are more our Cowboys. But like, you don't want to see, like, I would hate to see the Mets win a World Series. That would make me that would upset me.
100%. Just to give you a stat last night that I heard watching the game, they're going back to LA to play these next 2 games. In the last 11 games in Los Angeles, the Dodgers versus the Braves, the Dodgers have won 10 out of 11. Interesting statistic. So the numbers are on the Dodgers side heading back to LA. It's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back after that. Another walk-off victory, dude. 2 walk-offs in a row.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge momentum thing.
And, talking about playoff sports, we talked about this on many episodes. It's the team with the momentum that's the most scary. That's the scariest in, a playoff sport. These Braves are really hot right now. They got some of these guys from the trade deadline, and now they're key pieces on this team. It's just like in hockey. Once a hockey team starts winning like 5-6 games in a row, watch out because, they're going to do well.
Well, yeah, that's what I always say. And that's why I say to people all the time, baseball, and I give this example all the time. And I probably said it, I want to say 5 or 6 times in this podcast, but the New York Mets in 2015, when they went to the World Series and played the Royals, they were not a very good baseball team. All year, they were kind of up and down. And then Daniel Murphy became
Babe Ruth,
Hank Aaron, all of them combined. He hit a home run every single game.
Yeah.
He carried them to the World Series. They had 95-year-old David Wright, and they were relying on DeGrom, a young DeGrom, and a really young Noah Syndergaard to try to win them a World Series. Obviously, the Royals.
They had Matt Harvey that year too, didn't they? The Dark Knight.
He was kind of on his way. That was when he was starting to dip down. That was like the years when he started to dip down.
Was it? I thought that he might have. I thought that was just like last year of like where he was the Dark Knight, like absolute beast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I remember they had like they had another young pitcher that they thought was going to be next up too. They thought they had like the greatest rotation ever. I remember those years.
Did they have R.A. Dickey that year too?
No, he was the big Blue Jays trade. That's how they got Syndergaard.
Okay, because they dumped out
Dude,
Dickey and
I
Jose
forget.
Reyes, and who else did they get rid of?
R.A. Dickey, Jose Reyes, I think a catcher or something.
Yeah, maybe one other guy.
Huge
That was
lopsided,
great.
huge lopsided trade. I mean, Syndergaard didn't turn out to be too great because he's always injured, but huge lopsided trade. You get like a 45-year-old R.A. Dickey who won a Cy Young on just complete accident for
Now
like a
that knuckleball, no one could hit that.
that knuckleball was deadly. That
Yeah.
knuckleball was yeah, but that's what I say. Like baseball is just that sport. Like I mean, that's why I was saying all year. If the Phillies just get in, they have a chance to go all the way because baseball is a game of just
Anything can happen.
anything can happen. One swing of the bat. It's not like that's where basketball is so different. Like the Lakers in the best four series is going to beat the Grizzlies every time. They're going to, no matter what. The Grizzlies might win a game or two, but it's not going to happen. Hockey, teams get hot. Hockey, I would say, is more like baseball. Teams can get hot and come back. But those sports, football, the Bills are always going to beat, a wild card team for the most part. That's what. But my point is that's what makes baseball so exciting is that any team can win.
And you know what? Like the Red Sox are up 7-0 right now, and it's the fourth inning. And I know that game seems like way out of reach, but the Astros can still come back because the Red Sox still have to throw the ball over the plate. They still have to make pitches. The Astros aren't out of the game, and they got a very good lineup.
Last game they were down 9-0. They ended up not making it close, but they ended up chipping. I think they ended up scoring 5 runs.
Yeah. So I mean,
a lot of times, and you can agree with me in playoff games, especially a lot of times 5 runs is going to win you a game. A lot of times, so
yeah, when you got the person on point.
It's also great just to like score runs, even if you're not like you're going to lose. It's rather lose 11-5 than lose 11-0. That's just killer to the momentum.
Yeah. I got to ask you this trivia question because today I saw it when I was scrolling through. Braves, obviously, the first 2 games of the series, they've had walk-off hits. This trivia question is pretty good. Who is the only player in Major League Baseball history to have a walk-off inside the park grand slam?
Wow.
Right? How good is that trivia question?
Can I get like a hint? Like just a little hint.
I'll repeat the question for the fans watching, and then I'll give you a hint. Who was the only player in Major League Baseball history to have a walk-off inside the park grand slam? Now, for your hint, what do you want? You want date? You want team? Do you want to? I don't want to give you initials right away.
No, yeah. I want like a year. Just like if you could give
year. All right. It happened in 1956.
Oh God. I was good. I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna go with like a Philly or something, but 1950.
If you want choices, I can give you choices.
I gotta get choices.
All right.
I'm thinking Yankees, maybe like a.
I'll give you 4 choices. Don't answer until all the choices are.
I will not answer.
Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Roberto Clemente, Joe DiMaggio.
So I was thinking Joe DiMaggio before this started. Like that was the guy I had locked in. So I'm gonna stick with Joe DiMaggio, even though I have a feeling it might be Roberto Clemente.
Roberto Clemente is the only player in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? He did it on July 25th, 1956. I don't know this off the top of my head. I was just reading about it today. They were playing at Forbes Field, the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I was talking to my grandfather about that field. He said that you could fit 2 football fields out in that outfield. That's how big the stadium was. Obviously, he was exaggerating. But he said, like, if you hit it and you get a player who could just run, that was it. They're getting some bases. And when I saw that, I had to ask that trivia question. It was awesome.
No, that's
inside the park walk-off grand slam.
That must have been electric.
That's like Little League baseball stuff. You know what I mean?
Insane.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Speaking of inside the Parkers, that reminds me of the Chase Utley one. You remember that off the top of the wall in center field?
Oh, absolutely.
That was great.
He had a couple. I think he had more than one. I remember like one of his first he had maybe he didn't. Actually, maybe he didn't. No, that was just the whole.
J-Roll hit one for us, right? J-Roll had an inside the Parker.
Yeah, J-Rod is.
Yeah.
Well, Phillies have a good stadium for a possible inside the Parker if you hit it off that wall.
If you hit that wall and it ricochets out and that right fielder's not covering, you're
And if
able
you're
to get.
running off and if you're running off the jump, you'll score. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm trying to think of other stadiums that are good for inside the park home runs.
Uh, Triples Alley, Boston, or if you hit into that little, they've got that little intersection like in the outfield.
In center field, where
Yeah,
like
the center field, like
intersects.
to the right of the center field, they call it like Triples Alley. If you hit it in there, back
Mhm.
in the day when the Astros used to have that like hill,
I was just gonna bring up the hill, dude.
why did they get rid of that, man? That thing was sick.
I remember there was this game on the Wii, the Bigs. All right,
Oh,
the big, and that game was awesome. And if you had a guy like Albert Pujols or like these big time hitters, and you ripped one out at Astro Stadium up on that hill, you were getting around those bases. It didn't matter who your hitter was. You were getting around those bases because it was just too much for those outfitters to track that ground, get up on the hill, get the ball in. What a game.
I mean, or no, Triples Alley is a. I don't know why I said Red Sox. It's Giants. The
Okay.
Giants. That's like a stadium. They have like they call it like Triples Alley if you hit it into like the same kind of area we talked about. I know that's like inside the park.
I never heard of that saying Triples Alley, but learn something new. And I was thinking Giant Stadium because that's a pretty big outfield.
Yeah, the outfield's huge.
Another outfield I'm thinking of is Coors Field, Colorado Rockies. They got a big outfield.
They got a big outfield. You got to think of like objects that they can hit, like
Yeah.
bounce off something like that. That I'm trying to think. I know there's a stadium that's like that definitely has one that's big, but that's the first. I think the Giants is the first one that comes to mind because the outfield's just so big.
Yeah. Nah, what a question. All right, we're gonna switch gears a little bit, and we'll talk NBA. The season starts tomorrow night. Right? I'm correct, right? October 19th. The two teams playing are the Nets and the Bucks. They're the early game, 7:30, followed by the Warriors and the Lakers. So this isn't a Bryce's best bet, but I got to get your gut pick for both those games.
You know what? I'm gonna look right now at the spreads.
Wow.
So
Are we going to do like a little live action?
we could potentially have something live here. I don't know if I want to do
Wow. That's a first. That's big.
that. No, it's big. You know, it doesn't happen all the time. Obviously, right now I'm looking Milwaukee giving one at home, coming back, defending champs. Crowd's probably going to be pretty big.
Now check. Are they doing the ring ceremony tomorrow night? That's always big. Whenever a team does the ring ceremony, they never win. They never win the night of the ring.
I don't think they're doing it. The rings might honestly not be done considering the fact that the season ended. So the season didn't
recently, yeah.
So their rings probably aren't finished yet. Those rings take like months to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Kyrie Irving being out, huge. He's not going to play. I'm looking now. They don't. I know this sounds stupid, but the Bucks don't have Bobby Portis. He was an essential piece in that playoff run.
He stepped up. He stepped up off the bench, definitely.
And like I said, I just don't like to doubt Kevin Durant. He's a guy I don't like to doubt. But
now, is your boy DiVincenzo back?
DiVincenzo's in. He's playing. From what I know, he's not out. He's not scheduled to be out. I know they just signed Grayson Allen to an extension yesterday.
So let me just go over the Bucks starting lineup real quick with you. They got Drew Holiday, point guard, shooting guard, DiVincenzo, small forward. They got Middleton, power forward Giannis, and then center Brooks Lopez again.
Yes.
All right. And then the Nets, let me guess who they got. Patty Mills, point guard. No, James Harden, point guard. Patty Mills, shooting guard.
Yes.
Durant, small forward. I want to go Blake Griffin, power forward. And then LaMarcus Aldridge at center.
It's either LaMarcus Aldridge, but I know and I know this sounds crazy. I know Paul Millsap was getting a lot of time.
Oh, you know what? He was. They were talking about that on Undisputed the other day. He is getting a lot of time for them.
But I'm going to go with, and this is going to be a live bet, Bryce. I think maybe the first one in the history of the pod, a live bet.
This is right off of gut reaction.
Yeah,
this is your gut pick. This is big.
I'm taking Bucks -1. I think they're going to win. I got faith in Giannis. I'm a little I'm more nervous so because I think James Harden, he's not going to be able to adjust. He's going to have to adjust, but he's not going to be able to adjust right away. It's the whole new foul calls. He's not going to be able to do those step backs. By the way, best rule the NBA ever did. It's going to make the game 10 times better. He's not going to be able to do that. I also think, replacing Kyrie Irving for Patty Mills is a huge that's big.
It's not like Patty Mills is a bad player, but it's a big drop off.
No, it's a big drop off,
Yeah.
especially when you got a guy like, you're going to be able to put Drew Holiday on James Harden. So I just like Milwaukee. I feel like the Nets, it's going to take them a couple games just to get used to that team. Their team is still very new, a lot of new pieces. LaMarcus Aldridge didn't really play for him last year because he retired. He came back. They got Millsap.
Another thing to keep in mind though too is James Harden was hurt during that series with the Bucks. I'm not saying it would have made a difference. I know the Bucks were playing at an extremely high level, but you get James Harden fully back healthy now, and him and Kevin Durant have developed that chemistry over the last year. I expect both those guys to go for 30 tomorrow night.
No, for sure. I mean, Kevin Durant is a walking 30 as long as he doesn't get retired. And for the next game, so first game, take Milwaukee, -1 for the game. And now, Jim, you know me, and especially when it comes to
Don't you dare.
Especially when it comes no. You're not no. Especially when it comes to the NBA games, I like to take the halves. I'm a big bet in the first half. So
Okay.
I'm gonna take, and this hurts to say, I'm gonna take the Lakers -1.5 for the first half. I think at home they're gonna come out really hot. The Warriors now they're missing James Wiseman. That's big. They're not gonna have a center. Klay Thompson's in their first round draft pick, Jonathan Kumagai. I've seen him and watched him play. I can't pronounce his last name, but that's obviously huge. They're not going to have their first round pick this year, or at least for the first game, not for this year. I think he's just out for the game.
Who do the Warriors have in at center now? If Wiseman's hurt,
I can check, but I think
because let me tell you something, they're going to get out rebounded by a lot tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think it's actually someone like decently well known. Let me see. Oh, it's Kevon Looney. He's still there. Kevon
Okay,
Looney.
he's good.
Which obviously, I mean, they got Wiggins is going to play. I know he had some vaccine. I don't know how his vaccine thing's going.
So they got Curry, Clay.
Their starting
Wiggins.
lineup. Their starting lineup looks like it's going to be Curry, obviously point guard, Jordan Poole, who everyone's hyping up. He's going to have a huge year. Everyone's saying I like him, but I think everyone's buying into it a little bit too much. Him at shooting guard, small forward Wiggins, power forward Draymond, and starting center is Kevon Looney as of now.
Is Clay coming off the bench?
Clay's out. Clay's not playing yet.
Oh, he's not playing yet. When's he playing?
Yeah. As of now, they don't know. I think it's all just like how the recovery process works. I don't know exactly. I just know he's out. I think he's kind of similar to Kawhi. Like no one really knows how long he's going to be out, but he's going to play eventually. And what looks like now the starting lineup for the Lakers is going to be Russ at the 1. I honestly don't know who they're going to start at shooting guard.
You got to put in THT at shooting guard.
He's hurt though.
Is he like hurt, or is he just like?
I think he had like a finger problem, but right now it's scheduled that if not Malik Monk's day to day, they don't know if he's going to play. Wayne Elliott's out and Kendrick Nunn is day to day. So right now I would say that Horton is going to play. So I'd put him at small forward or shooting guard. Small forward will be obviously
The GOAT.
I'm not going to say that. They gave Kent Bazemore a lot of minutes in the preseason. He might play for them a little bit in tomorrow night's game, but obviously LeBron, Anthony Davis, and then DeAndre Jordan looks like he's going to be the center.
Start? Wow, I would have given that to Dwight Howard, honestly. And I'm not just saying that. I just think he's the better center still at this stage of his career.
I think they're gonna. I think they just want to have him come off. I think he could prove it and get the starting job, but I think Dwight at this point in his career is probably better off the bench than DeAndre Jordan would be.
With Wiseman being out, could you see the Los Angeles Lakers kind of going small and putting Anthony Davis at the 5, moving LeBron James to the 4, having Melo start small forward, and then you obviously have Russ at point guard, and then whatever shooting guards available?
I can see doing that. I think it's going to be. I don't think LeBron's going to score a ton tomorrow. I think it's going to be more of his games where he's going to feed Davis and the guys down low. They're going to get buckets.
Yeah.
They're at home. A home opener at the Lakers Stadium is going to be, at Staples is going to be hard enough. Um, I'm going to debate on doing the -3. I want to do the -3.5 too, but I really like the first half minus. I'm going to do both. Screw it. I'm going to do both. I feel good about the Lakers. I 3 picks in 2 games. That's rare for me, Jim. You know that. I'm not big on that, but I'm going to go Bucks -1 at home. I think they're going to take down the Nets. I think that one's going to be a close one, but I could definitely see and it's going to take a lot out of Steph to even keep that game close. I love the Lakers -1.5 for the first half, but I like them a lot also for -3.5 for the game.
All
So
right.
yeah,
There
3
it
picks.
is. There it is. 3 picks, 2 games. If you haven't already, follow Bryce on Twitter. Also follow the Brothers of Broad Street account on Instagram. And then you can follow Bryce and I for updates on picks and our podcasts. But I like those picks, Bryce. I'm feeling good. I'm glad you went with the Lakers. LeBron's going to show up this year 19. He's still looking good. He dropped 30 in that preseason game. Come on now.
Year 19 is crazy, dude. That is insane.
I mean, we can't even deny what he's doing at this stage of his career. I mean,
yeah, I don't want to get into LeBron. I don't need to hype him up. Okay.
It's Brady-esque. It's Brady-esque. But to finish off this episode tonight, we're going to switch over to the Philadelphia 76ers. For those of you who did not see on Twitter today, a lot of the insiders were posting reports about the Sixers practice. And, there was video that Ben Simmons was doing his defensive drills with his cell phone in his pocket. And then when the team got in a huddle at the end of the practice, just, good work, clap it up, whatever. Ben Simmons was standing on the side of the court and then just completely walked into the locker room and left the team there. What's your reaction with that, hearing that, heading into this season? Is this going to create, turmoil, confusion? Is this going to be a distraction for the team? Do you think the Sixers actually, like they say, just don't care and, are just going to go on with it? Like, what's your opinion in this?
In my opinion, first off, Doc Rivers as the head coach of a basketball team, he's got to handle that situation better. This isn't a youth basketball team. This is guys making multi-millions of dollars. The game they love, the game they pride themselves in, the game they dedicated their life to. It's got to be taken a little bit more serious than that. I also think, you got to look at the team leader, obviously being Joel Embiid. He's got to get on Ben, like get in his face and be like, hey, whether you want to be here or not, we're not doing this here. Because you laugh, but what do you think? How do you think watching the Last Dance, how do you think Michael Jordan would have reacted to that if one of his, like Dennis Rodman, showed up and was on his cell phone during practice?
And by no means am I comparing the 2 players, but that last year, Scottie Pippen was having contract issues, disagreements with Jerry Krause. He didn't want to play if he wasn't going to get his money. And, it finally took Jordan bugging him nonstop to, get back on the court and help the team win.
And at first, Michael Jordan said, screw him. If he's not going to be out there and play, who cares about him? And I think that's how Joel Embiid needs to go about it. I think he needs to, if the media ask about him, he needs to say, hey, listen, I'm focused on winning. Ben can do his own thing. I'd like to have him, but if he's not here, we got to move on without him. And that's what it looks like. I also, also, you don't love to hear the fact that Ben Simmons is out of shape. Obviously, this is the NBA.
Is he out of shape, though, or are they just saying that? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you get those reports that they just throw things out there.
That's true. Obviously,
Are they going to say he's out of shape so he can't play in the Sixers home opener? Like, are they going to say he's out of shape so he could sit a little bit? Like, is he going to be out of shape for the first month of the season? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going against what you're saying, but
no, but I think it's similar though to like the NFL preseason. You need it. You need those couple weeks to, bounce back, to get in game shape. I don't think necessarily he's in bad shape, but I won't. I believe it when they kind of say he's not in, altogether game shape. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. One thing that's frustrating with me, seeing the videos today, is if you really want to leave Philadelphia, you really want to go play for a different team. In my mind, you would be doing everything you possibly can to play as hard as you can on every single play, to show to teams around the league and to show to the ownership and the general manager and the coach and the players of Philadelphia, like, this is who I am. you're going to be missing out on me, when I'm gone. And to other teams, this is who you're going to be getting. Like by Simmons with his body language and not being in the team huddles and, playing with his cell phone in his pocket and just being on the sidelines, not talking to anybody and just watching. If I'm another team, I'm not going to go trade years of first round picks and multiple players, young players, for a guy that is going to, behave that way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I mean it's literally like being a child, but it's a multi-million-dollar business.
like Russell Westbrook obviously didn't enjoy his time with the Washington Wizards last year, but when he got traded to them, he put in his time. He showed up every single night, nearly averaged a triple double for the season again, and then
Welcome to the playoffs.
and now finally he was able to get an ideal trade, and now he's with the Lakers, competing for a championship.
That still hasn't hit me yet. Like I saw him
that he's on the Lakers.
it still hasn't hit me that he's on the Lakers. It's kind of crazy.
It's going to be awesome to see him in purple and gold. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no,
It's going to be really cool.
It'd be interesting to see him and LeBron play together.
Hopefully they could keep the turnovers to a minimum. But
yeah, no, there's going to be a lot of turnovers, but there's going to be
that's the big thing. If they can clean them up, it's going to be a really good team.
I think it all comes down to Anthony Davis staying healthy.
Yeah, injuries hurt them last year, no doubt.
Especially him, he's been pretty injured ever since they won the championship. He's barely played.
Oh yeah, I mean, we talked about that one statistic that Damian Lillard has missed less games in his entire career. Or no, what was it? Oh, Anthony Davis missed more games this season than Damian Lillard has in his entire career.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They were talking about like hypothetical trades and stuff, but the Sixers season starts what, Friday night or Thursday?
Yes.
Friday night.
I want to say Friday night, yes.
And then who do they play?
I forget. Let me check real quick. They play. No, they play Wednesday night.
Tomorrow night?
Yeah, they play Wednesday. They play the Pelicans at Pelicans.
Really?
Yes. And Zion's out, so we should definitely start the season off with a win.
Is that a preseason game though? Is that like our last preseason game?
Maybe, possibly. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what I think we just got the two big ones tomorrow night. I know Ben Simmons.
I dropped the ball there. It is our first game is Friday night against the Nets.
Wow.
That's not the easiest game to start the season off with.
It's gonna be a good one though. It's gonna show us how we stack up against them.
Them without Kyrie, obviously, whether they think it or not, is going to hurt their team. It's going to affect them. He's one of, if not the best all-around point guard in the NBA. Not having him out there is huge. Hopefully that whole situation works out with him. We can see him back on the court. Maybe Ben Simmons for Kyrie Irving swap.
I know you've been asking for that a lot. You want that trade.
I want the trade, but I hate Kyrie. Just not a big Kyrie guy, but there's no denying. I think him and Joel Embiid with Tobias that'd be a scary team.
Just want to ask you one question before we get off and finish off this episode. Andre Drummond was asked the other day if, he could see himself playing alongside Embiid at the same time. Do you see any chance both Drummond and Embiid play on the court at the same time this season?
I think they're going to. I think they're going to end up playing a lot together.
Really?
Yeah,
kind of being like two big forces down low.
Yeah, maybe like a Tim Duncan, maybe
David Robinson,
like a Walmart version of Tim Duncan in
David Robinson.
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be really cool to see. I don't like, I get nervous that it would be kind of like a Horford Embiid type situation. I know Horford was a much better shooter than Drummond, so I don't know how the spacing would work on the floor.
But there's no denying that Andre Drummond's pretty bad in a lot of parts of the game, but there's no denying that he can rebound. So maybe, more rebounding for him and more of the scoring for Embiid. I think the big thing is, though, I think Horford had a little bit of a problem accepting the fact that not that he knew, Joel was the number one guy, but Horford shot a lot. Horford shot the ball a lot on the Sixers. I was at that Miami Heat game when he missed that game-winning three. He shoots a lot. I don't think Andre Drummond is going to be shooting.
Is Drummond a good defender? Yes, obviously he's a good rim protector because he's so big and he gets
I watched.
But is he a good defender?
I
Because
watched him a
that
lot.
could work.
I watched him a lot in the playoffs, and honestly, my honest opinion of him is that he's just kind of a step behind everybody. He's not a very good NBA player. I think he's one of those guys that just tricked us because no one watched Detroit basketball, and he was like a two-time All-Star there, and he was just a stat filler, just a good old-fashioned stat filler.
Hey,
So,
he's got to be doing something right. Daryl Morey chose him over Dwight Howard, so
I agree, yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely think there's potential there.
yeah.
That's
And
just perfectly.
thinking about that lineup, I mean, you know, whoever the point guard is, um, even if it was Tyrese Maxey, just say, or Shake Milton, and then shooting guard, you put either Danny Green or Seth Curry, and then small forward, you have Tobias Harris, power forward, Embiid, and then center Drummond. You might be able to save Embiid's legs over the course of a season if
Yeah,
you
I think
give Drummond.
I think that's what's big. I'm excited to see this rookie out of Tennessee. Hopefully he's NBA ready. Hopefully he can make an immediate impact, kind of like how Maxey did and how Thibault has done.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I wanted to, quick thing I saw today. Old 76er Landry Shamet just signed a big deal with the Suns, 4 years, $43 million.
Did he really?
Yeah,
Bridges got a $90 million deal with them.
he's worth every penny because now next year they're not going to have to max. The issue is, and I always tell people this in the NBA, everybody gets a max deal. Every single person gets a max deal. Chandler Parsons got a max deal. Everybody gets a max deal in the NBA. So the Suns pay him now. They choose to extend him now rather than next year, him becoming a free agent and them having to pay him 125 million rather than just 90 million. Saves them some money. They sign Landry Shamet and Bridges, but don't extend DeAndre Ayton.
Just about to bring that up. What's your reaction with that, not signing him to a big deal?
So, this is a big thing that it's always very rumored. The Phoenix Sun owner, supposedly one of the cheapest owners in the NBA a couple years ago when they had the Steve Nash, Joe Johnson era. People forget Joe Johnson was a really, really good player and he was in his prime. He chose just to get rid of Joe Johnson. He didn't want to pay him.
Yeah.
People argue all the time. That was the reason why Steve Nash never won a title. He just chooses to get rid of players, got rid of Amari Stoudemire, traded him to the Knicks. He doesn't really like to pay players. The Suns, obviously they're coming on a little bit. They're still kind of a small market team. They've paying Devin Booker a ton of money. They're paying Chris Paul a ton of money.
Did they sign him? They signed him to the extension, right? Chris Paul?
Yeah, Chris Paul is on
okay. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, okay.
They signed him to pretty much a max extension. He's getting 50 million, close to that this year. Devin Booker is obviously making a ton. Bridges is now making a lot of money. Shamet's making a decent sized amount of money. And I think how they see it is DeAndre Ayton's good. They can still bring him back next year and end up paying him a max if they want to. They can go over the luxury tax to pay him because he was originally drafted there. But maybe, like we said before, Ayton until like last year was not a bad player, but definitely not, anything too special. So I think this is kind of a big year. Obviously for them to just, him to prove people wrong, get paid $100 million. I mean, some team will pay him. He's a very talented center. He's a top 10 guy, no doubt.
He's young.
He's a double machine. He's going to, and he came up huge in the playoffs. I don't see Devin Booker wanting him to leave. I think Devin Booker's going to do some talking. And I also think CP3, he's great at getting the ball to the center. He is absolutely, that is what he's best at. He made DeAndre Jordan a first team all NBA player at one point. I mean,
oh yeah.
CP3 knows how to get the ball to the center. So I definitely don't see him leaving the Suns, but I wouldn't rule it out as a possibility with the rumors of that GM or that owner being super cheap.
All right, very good. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Brothers of Broad Street podcast. You can find Bryce and I on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other platform that you guys listen to your podcasts. You could also follow Bryce and I on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're everywhere uploading these podcasts, the Bryce's Best Bets, and trivia. Definitely listen to this episode if you guys want to get Bryce's picks for tomorrow. They're solid. And Bryce, as always, good work. And go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.